are actionable tools for you to start doing from today and start that transformation. And as in the mountains, you have highs and lows, and in life, it's just the same. But it's really interesting that in the mountains, you need to acclimate. You need to get used to new altitude. And every time you go down, it's just to gain strength, to go higher. So I would like to start with a question to all of you that is about that low, that low moment in your life, and what was the mindset that actually got you where you are today?
Mic check, is this thing working? Thank you so much. Low point in life, I've had a lot of low points, and the real gift is finding gratitude for those low points. And I think one big thing that comes to me is when I walked away from my NFL career, experienced a deep loss of purpose, of community, of identity. And there was a real void. I had achieved everything in my life, my childhood dream of playing in the NFL, made all the money I could think of, and there was still something missing in my life. And when I decided to walk away, I was really excited about the next adventure and what I was going to get into and becoming an entrepreneur and all these exciting things. But as soon as the game, like the finality of it hit me, there was an immense amount of grief that I experienced. And that propelled me on a deeper journey of healing and self-discovery and transformation to really answer the question of who am I without this thing that had defined me for so long. And that journey I'm still on. I feel like that's a journey that is a journey of a lifetime to continue to discover, to change, to grow. And so I'm really looking back on that, really grateful for that time, although it presented a lot of challenges as I moved through it.
Thank you, Joe.
I think similarly, although not at the National Football League, I was all city, all state, et cetera, in high school, and then I went to the University of Southern California, which is a U.S. school that has quite a reputation for athletics. And I walked on as a player and immediately had to shift my role in the team environment from being the starter, the captain, a high scorer, et cetera, to really understanding what teamwork meant, both on and off the court. And that particular team, at that particular time of women's basketball team, was the national championship 4 years straight. It was 2 Olympic gold medals for the U.S., and it was the founding members of the Women's National Basketball Association. So I had realized that I also felt as though I was elite in one circle, but I was supporting in another circle. And so this idea of understanding your role in a larger context of athleticism. I would argue everybody on this panel is more fit and more athletic than I am at this point, but I feel like, again, my role is to support all of you and them in their collective journey. So it's that idea of shifting your role is the tip from what you might perceive, company-wise, athletic or sport-wise, family-wise, all that into something that is valuable because you are now a member of a team and a collective.
Cool. Hi, everyone. Very excited to be here. Thanks for the opportunity. So I thought about this low moment I had a year and a half ago. Went through this a bit of a car accident. I was riding my bicycle and a car hit me. So I had a broken back, literally. And then, not to be too dramatic, but that's what happened. And then what struck me a few days into that is that I can still find things to do, right? I had to adapt, as you mentioned, to find my, have a good, bad day, right? And that's a mantra we use a lot. Have a good, bad day, because many days are not great, right? It's very hard to find the zone or the flow of things. And just if you can manage, if you're going through a crisis or a bad time in your life, you can still find a good, bad day and make something out of it, right? So you can still achieve things even when you're injured or when you get lost in the woods or whatever woods you're walking in, but try to have a good, bad day, right? So that's something I took away.
Hashtag now. Good, bad day. Great, thank you.
Well, thank you, and very happy to be here. In my case, my lowest point was almost 14 years ago, when I just realized that I have been living in a box, in a structured society without breaking all the paradigms. Even the day that my dad passed away, I just never realized how depressed I was. So I hit a black hole. And instead of going and doing drugs and being crazy, well, I'm crazy, but not that crazy. I said, I'm gonna heal myself. So I decided to understand my brain, and you that you are a psychologist. I start understanding my brain, reading about the brain waves, how they affect, how I can transform all these old beliefs and just rip it out. And that's what I did. But it was 14 years ago. I rewired my brain for 3 years. And then I started doing the ultras. That's how I got in healing myself through sports. And it has been almost, since that, almost 9 years that I have been healing and finding my answers from within. And as they were saying, first, today is Children's Day. And I always say that I am 41. I act like I'm 14. So it's always finding that inner child that we have, and just that.
Thank you. Tell us why 14 is an important number for you.
Well, that's a very good question. So you see my shirt here. So 14, like it's. I'm in all this numerology. I like to read a lot about the energy, quantic energy, etc. But this number has repeated all over my life. So my dad passed away when I was 14. 14 years later, I got my first children, Valeria. And I spent 14 years as a corporate executive in four amazing companies, big companies, which are sponsoring here. And also 14 years later, since I rewired my brain until today that I'm here is 14 years. And one plus 4 is 5, so it's 5, right? So 5 is the number. 5 is the number of physical, of sports, of passion, of fire, and we are here in the volcano with these colors. So that's why I always wear just black and red. But 14 is very special for me. Even my socks are red. So.
Great. Joe, you have a podcast and you talk about initiation, grief, finding yourself. What have you learned about these 3 things?
Yeah, transitioning from, the pinnacle of sports and one of the biggest sports organizations in the world. My whole life, I had the singular focus of being a great football player. And so when that was over, I didn't really know where to put that energy, and there was a big void in my life. And I think what happens in our lives, no matter what you're putting your energy into, we can get lost and become identified with that thing as who we are, and it gives us value. And as such a high, I had all the money. I was looked up to by anybody I talked to. I mean, even here, just saying I played in the NFL just gives me some type of authority or credibility or excitement to be around me. I had a lot of resistance when I was actually playing of telling people I played football because I didn't like that energy. I had this real resistance to, I wanted to know who am I, as not an athlete. And I couldn't really figure that out with this whole thing hanging over my head. So when I walked away, that was the big pursuit of my life. And it led me on a journey of the deep inner work, of excavating and understanding myself and who am I on the deeper levels, what makes me tick. And as I've gone on that path, I've done a lot of healing work, a lot of understanding the unconscious patterns that drive my life. And, it's getting to deep layers of, why was I so focused on achieving success? There was this real story within me that I was looking for love, acceptance, and validation through the things that I did. And I think a lot of us in our society and culture carry that same story. And being able to go and understand yourself is a really powerful thing of understanding what is driving me towards this thing, and not attaching to the outcome or trying to use the things that we do to receive love, but really understanding that because of who we are and our being, there's really a lot of value in that. And so, with the podcast, I really bring on former elite athletes who have gone through such high highs and then going through that transition process. And I've learned a lot. The podcast is called Life Beyond the Game, and it's really about, some incredible stories of so many athletes, some Olympic athletes, and also some entrepreneurs and business owners as well that have gone through that very same thing. And what I would offer is, as you're building these things, I think a lot of people, this is probably a big group of entrepreneurs, I think the natural desire and end goal is if I get a big exit. And I've met so many entrepreneurs who have, multi-million-dollar exits, and they think it's going to be the thing that makes them feel fulfilled, and they get to a point where there's still something missing. And so what I would offer is to really go on that journey of self-discovery now and really learn to understand yourself and what's driving you. And I don't think there's anything more powerful than that.
Amazing, thank you. Ishai, you coach, you mentor many high-performance individuals and teams. What have you learned about doing that job? What advice will you give to high performers? And actually, I also read that you give advice on stress. And this is something very common now. So.
Stress?
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah. So first of all, stress is good. Yeah. Keep that in mind. That's a mantra. Yeah. Hashtag stress
Another
is good.
hashtag.
The thing is, we get confused with anxiety or fear and stuff like that, which could also be good, but let's call it unpleasant. Yeah. But stress is basically a good thing because it drives us, right? And the people here are super experienced on stage and in the crowd. We're all very experienced with stress, right? So we just need to keep in mind that it is a driving force, yeah? And it will never go away, yeah? Don't try to put it in the closet because it won't work, yeah? It will jump right at you. So just try to be a friend with your stress and help it drive you forward. And then one more tool that I use a lot with my athletes and the high performers that I work with, and I think it's a good takeaway for people who sometimes look to other people as models or role models, and you might think, what do I have in common with such high performers, right? How can I compare myself to Andrea, right? Like, she climbed Everest, right? So how could I possibly take something, or what do we have in common, right? Or such high achievers and entrepreneurs. And I think if we can all just mentally or physically close your eyes and just go to your mental space and just ask yourself, what do I have in common, right? Or what can I do to get to that next level? And what you just did, if you just ask yourself, that is the tool, right? The inner voice. So I work a lot with my athletes and my high performers and my regular people about making their inner voice productive, right? And efficient, right? Because it can hold you back. It could really hold you back, your inner voice. But we really want, and that's what my company do, we teach people how to create that efficient. It doesn't have to be positive, right? I love positive psychology, but we don't want to be a one-trick pony, right? Some of us might need to tell ourselves, get your ass off the couch, right? It doesn't have to be a positive self-talk, but it has to be efficient. It has to drive you forward to wherever you want to go, right? Just make sure it works for you. It can be negative, it can be positive, as long as it is efficient and productive and adaptive, right? So we all have in common, all the healthy people, right? And if you don't have an inner voice, come see me after, right? But just kidding. But we all have an inner voice, no matter if you're a young kid, an older person, whatever. If you've done whatever you wanted to achieve in life or not yet, or you're wherever it is you're walking towards, right? Find that inner voice and make sure it works for you, right? And we've got the tools and we've got role models that you can look up to. But just make sure you take care of your inner voice, right?
Awesome, thank you. And Deanna, through Dragonfly, you work with women in sports to succeed. Why is it important for women to enroll in sports, and how will their mindset would change through that?
So it's interesting, the most recent data in the US around corporate America is that 94% of all women who are in the executive leadership role at a company played sports. 94%. So it's close to 100% as you're going to get in this world of analytics. There's a reason obvious for that, which is much of what you've heard here, resilience. If you play sports every day, you win, you lose. Losing is a part of the daily journey and an athletic advice. You win and lose in corporate America, in life. You're resilient. Second is the mention earlier of teamwork. There's no I in teamwork, and so there's no I in the corporate economic world. It's really about how successful are you in galvanizing and getting people to collaborate and move the ball forward. And then last, I think the thing that is resonant for me is most sports programs recognize the youth and recognize the ability to bring up-and-coming players, bringing new players to the game, really almost systemically. And I think that's something that we need to practice more in life and in is development of personalities and people and humans. And for women, the expression of being an athlete or being in competition or even being part of a team is confidence building. And this point in time and in life, women coming up to corporate America in politics, in education, every aspect is about them being confident and people being confident in their work, and they get that from sport. So there's another statistic that was done by a Boston consulting group, and they said that if we were to empower cross-gender founders and entrepreneurs, if we were to bring more women into the C-suite, that we would add $126 trillion to the GDP in less than 5 years. So when you think about a country like Guatemala, when you think about Latin America, I ask you to think about investing in women, and one of the best ways to do that, to bring communities together, is through sport. So Dragonfly, the whole reason for the brand, Dragonfly means transformation, it means love, it means starting anew. It also means this little wing flapping in one place can change the world. So I encourage you here in Latin America, and in particular in my new favorite place, Guatemala, to invest in women's sport. And I will be back within 3 months' time with an idea that, well, you can all contribute to. And I'll give you a hint, it has to do with a bean that you're very famous for here, and it has to do with a game we call football. So more to come on that.
Uno, el micrófono, por favor.
Ahora ya, funciona. All right, oh my God, the time is almost over. Thankfully, there is an app where you can, get to know them better through the networking space. So this is the last question, unfortunately, but the most important one. Through your life experience, was that one actionable advice that you would give all of our life athletes, business athletes that are here today?
I will say I'm gonna be very brief, but first, look to the mirror, repeat your name, your birth date, and the years you have 3 times every day. And that's your biggest competitor. That's the first thing. You compete against you. And for me, that's something that it has been very, very, very good. Second, if you have the fear of doing something, it's because you are living other people's fears. When you get nervous, try to get nervous, because that means you decide to do it. Fear blocks you. Nervous is because you are going to do it. That's the second thing. And the third thing is have fun. Enjoy the process. Embrace the obstacles and never, never, never. You can quit if it's something that it will, an emergency, but don't quit. Don't quit. Embrace the obstacle and keep pushing hard and do the things for something greater than your inner selves. Thank you.
Yeah, playing in the NFL for 16 years and then getting into an entrepreneurial journey. I've been in my own entrepreneurial journey for 3 years, and one of the things that's been the most impactful for me is my ability to handle failure. And so what I would offer is to really develop a relationship with failure. Is one thing that drove my success in the NFL. I can't even count how many micro failures throughout my career. And failure doesn't mean it's over. It just is an opportunity to recalibrate, reset, and learn the lessons. And I love being an entrepreneur because what it really is this journey and this businesses that I create are just a reflection of myself. They teach me so much about myself, my ability to handle failure, and just continuing to grow. It's such a mirror for that. And so I would say using the inner voice when you go through an experience of failure is to really develop a relationship and create that positive self-talk of what did I learn from this, what can I change, and how can I grow, continue to move forward, because life is long. I know time's a weird thing, but when I really think about the opportunities and the growth, every time I fail, I just learn so much about myself and continue to evolve and bring those lessons into the next venture or the evolution of the current venture.
Cool. So I spoke earlier about the inner voice, right? So that's going within. So my tool will be super practical again, and it's easy to remember. We call it fly on the wall, right? Be a fly on the wall, right? And that means zooming out, right? And we don't want to ignore our feelings, but if we're honest with ourselves, many times a day, we'd be better off thinking more logically, right? Less emotionally, more logically. There's always space for emotion, that's great, but decision making and moving on about trying to be more practical and more reasonable. So zoom out of the situation, look at yourself as if you were a fly on the wall, right? And look at the situation. If you feel stuck, confused, angry, sad, whatever it is, zoom out, look at yourself as if you were a fly on the wall, and then make a reasonable, logical decision. Thanks.
I think in honor of National Kids Day, I would just say get out and play. Everybody should, at every point in life, make time to play, to be kid-like, to be curious, gauge somebody else, get out and move. You'd be amazed at how it will change your perspective if you get out and you just go play. So have some fun today and every day.
Wow. Big round of applause, please. Guys, if you got value from this 30 minutes of your day, I will invite you to stand up and really give our guests another big round of applause. And to yourself too. Thanks for investing in your career, in your life, and thank you for the opportunity to serve you today.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope that we all leave here with a more efficient voice, no matter if it's positive or negative, as long as it encourages us. So thank you so much for encouraging and being a part of a voice. Thank you.